The lesson outcome for this video is, I understand the parts of a coordinate plane and can plot points. So what you see in front of you right here is a coordinate plane. A plane is a geometric word we use to describe a two-dimensional surface. So we've got two dimensions here. We've got length and width. And then with that two-dimensional plane, we call it a coordinate plane specifically because there are coordinates on the plane, on the two dimensions, that we can name and find. So let's remind ourselves that there is, first of all, an x-axis and a y-axis. All right, so you can find those on this coordinate plane pretty easily because they are actually labeled. If you see this x right here, it's telling you that this is our x-axis. And then the y-axis, this is our y variable here, so this is our y-axis. Our horizontal axis is our x-axis, and our vertical axis is our y-axis. Now, keep in mind that if this wasn't written in here, we have to all remember that this is x, and if this wasn't written here, we have to remember that this is y. The other thing you want to pay pretty close attention to here is that if we look at just the x-axis for a second, we have to remember that, well, let's stop for just 1 second. Let's remind ourselves that this point right here is a special point. The point where the x and the y-axis meet is called the origin. The origin is, again, the point that the x and y-axis intersect at. And that's kind of like if you think about the word origin, beginning, this is where like the coordinate plane kind of begins, and then we go to the right or to the left, or we go up or we go down from there. Okay, and that's an important thing because what I was going to say is if we think about the x-axis, if we're at the origin, any values on the x-axis to the right are what we call positive x values. So we have to remember that we're going positive to the right. And if we're going to the left of the origin, we're talking about values on the x-axis that are negative. All right, so you can see that here. From here we go 1, positive 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. And remember, this goes infinitely in all directions. And then this direction we're at -1, -2, etc. Now, the y-axis does the same thing. If we go up, it's a positive movement from the origin. And if we go down, that is a negative movement from the origin. So always think left and down are negative and right and up are positive. So now back to the idea of a quadrant. A quadrant is a portion of our coordinate plane. And if you think of the word quadrant, it has the word quad in it. It has 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And you may remember that we name our quadrants starting with the positive quadrant, meaning that if the x value is positive and the y value is positive, then we're going to be somewhere in here. And that is quadrant 1. Let me thicken that pen up a little bit. That's quadrant 1. Okay, now when we rotate around the coordinate plane to name the rest of the quadrants, we actually are going to go in a kind of a C shape. That is how we label our quadrants. So this is quadrant 2, and then down here would be quadrant 3, our negative quadrant, and then over here is quadrant 4. All right. So important stuff as we begin work on plotting points and graphing. All right, so plotting points is something that you're going to have to be very good at doing because we're going to be graphing a lot during this course. Remember that a point is simply a location on a graph or on a coordinate plane. And the x-coordinate, again, comes on the x-axis, and the y-coordinate is found on the y-axis, and where they meet on the coordinate plane is the location for each of them. I'm going to do A here with you, and then I'm going to ask that you try to plot the other 5 points and then check back to see how you did on them. So point A asks us to plot 2, 5, which means that our x value is 2 and our y value is 5. So if we simply go to this coordinate plane and find our x-axis and find the 2 on the x-axis, that's right here. And then if we go to our y-axis and we find the 5 on our y-axis, here's our y-axis, and we find 5, which is right here, it is where these two values for x and y would meet. So x, this would go up and down along 2, and the 5 would go along this way on 5. And in fact, I'm going to just draw those in quick. So here's 2. So somewhere along this line of 2, and then where y is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where y is 5 is right here. So where is this point? Well, that point is where they intersect. So that point is right here, where 2 on the x-axis and 5 on the y-axis intersect. So that's the point right there. So why don't you go ahead and plot these other 5 points, and let's, by the way, label them. This is A right here, because that was point A, and go ahead and label them and check back to see how you did on plotting the other 5 points. However, if you're not feeling confident with this yet, you can just watch the process of me plotting them. All right, so B. I hope you found B at -2, 4. -2 on the x-axis would be over here, and then 4 would be here. So that point should be right here, B. C, well, C should be at 4 on the x-axis, which is right here, and -3 on the y-axis, so your point should be right here. Sorry, I'm looking for another color here. D is -2, -5. So -2 on the x-axis is here. -5 on the y is here. So -2 and -5 together would bring us to this point here. That is D. E is 2, 0. Now be careful with these. Anytime there's a 0, students often make more mistakes. So 2, 0 means 2 on the x-axis and 0 on the y. Well, 2 on the x-axis is right here, and then y being 0 would be right here. So where did those two locations meet? 2 on the x and 0 on the y? Well, they meet right on the x-axis, right here. So that is E. And the last one, where is 0, -4? Well, 0, -4 means that we're moving left or right 0 on the x-axis. So we're staying right here, and then we're going down to -4 on the y-axis, which would be right here. So that is the point 0, -4. That is F. Okay, so one other thing we want to be able to do is actually list the names of our points and not just be able to plot them. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to just label A, B, C, D, E, and I think we get to F. Yep, F. And if you want to pause the video and try to name all of those 6 points and then restart it to see how you did, you can do that. Or if you want to just watch me run through them, you can do that as well. So first of all, A. A is right here. To name the x-coordinate first, we're going to just go straight up to notice that it's at -4. So -4 on the x-axis. And then what is it on the y-axis? Well, it's at -2. B. B is right here. Its x-coordinate is 2, and its y-coordinate is -5. So x-coordinate is 2, and y-coordinate is -5. C. C is right here. C's x-coordinate. Again, you always have to start with your x-coordinate. It is so important. The x-coordinate is -3, and the y-coordinate is 4. So -3 for x and 4 for y. D is up here. D's x value is 1, and its y value is 5. So 1, 5. Again, 1, 5 is different from 5, 1. Think for just a second, where would that 5, 1 point be? 5, 1 would be right here. Okay, so 1, 5 and 5, 1 are different. Next, we have E. E is right here. And again, these are the ones that, this next couple are the ones that people will make mistakes on. E is 5 on the x-axis, and what's the value on the y-axis? Well, the answer is 0. 5, 0, not 0, 5. And F is right here, and again, x-coordinate is on the x-axis, -1, and the y-coordinate is 0.